as you could probably imagine, going through Hearthstone's development, right? There's a lot of cards that didn't make the cut because, you know, while you're designing a game, you start playing with it, and then you realize, yeah, this isn't fun. No one wants to play against this card. At least that's what I hope that like card designers do. Yu-Gi-Oh is the exception here because that game's miserable. So you're going to be going through removed cards from Hearthstone, and your job today is to tell me why they removed it.
Removed. So this is before release. Before release,
some of these cards. So some of these cards might just be from Classic in general. Other cards might be later on. But a lot of these cards, like I would say, are skewed towards more the early days of Hearthstone. So like I'll tell you when this card was in the game before you get into it.
So these got to be played and got completely exited, deleted from the game.
Well, they may not even been like, so when you say played, like it might just be from devs, not actual players. Like they intentionally removed it from the game before they even released it because it was just ridiculous for whatever reason it may happen to be.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's crazy.
So not only are you going to see cards, I did a video like this a very long time ago going through this. I completely forgot this existed. So yeah, your job today is to tell me what you think of the card, but also why it was removed from the game. Okay.
Okay.
You ready for this?
They were all the ones you're going to show me were removed from the game?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This is Avatar of the Coin, which is 0 mana for a 1/1, and it says you lost the coin flip but gained a friend.
First and foremost, what do you think this is?
So I know what the coin is.
Okay.
I don't need any comments telling me what the coin is. I'm aware of the coin. I know who it is. It's my friend. How do you put this in your deck?
So
or is
this one,
did they try this instead of the coin?
Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, hold on. In Hearthstone's early days, right? One of the hardest problems that I guess in any card game has had, the person going second is often at a pretty significant disadvantage because they don't set the tempo of the game. So in order to mitigate this, Hearthstone had to try multiple different ways of actually helping the player going second. This is one of the things that they tried to do. Instead of getting the coin, which you know, and an extra card going second, you got a card on board called Avatar of the Coin.
You just got a 1/1.
You just got a 1/1.
For going second.
What
the hell what? Okay. My first thought is that anything with just 1 health becomes unplayable.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like this just smashes into anything with 1 health for free and you kill it. So like, what are you doing? I guess 1 health probably in the history of Hearthstone got outclassed since 1 mana 1/3 is the nuts. But you know what? Like a 1 mana 2/1 seems like a joke now. Like, why would you even do it?
1 mana 1/2 is a joke. Yeah. So this one's interesting because this one actually caused a lot more balancing disadvantages from like other things that they tried. So obviously this didn't save the game and they went for the coin. The coin actually helped mitigate the situation as much as possible. I think it was like in Classic, if you were going second, you're like 45% to win rather than 55 you're going first. So the extra card of the coin is what they ended up with. Obviously, this is not the one I'm going to have you evaluate because this one is just so weird. But
that's something.
That is something. Okay. Let's go to actually your very first card.
Mana Spring Totem is 4 mana for an 0/1 totem, and it says your cards cost 1 less. Is it broken? I'm wondering, like, your cards cost 1 less. When you put this down, anything that costs 1 is just cost 0, and you can play it until something happens to this. I mean, how good is that in Hearthstone? I feel like getting cost reductions on your cards isn't that, it doesn't seem that insane at 4. Like in Magic, like we have cards starting at like 2 mana that say your cards cost 1 less, but that's because generic costs are in a way already kind of nerfed. It doesn't make mana symbols cost 1 less.
I will say, reminder, like this one is for Classic. Like this was in the game going into Classic.
Yeah.
So this one actually was played by people, for the record, in Alpha.
Human beings, players got their hands on this.
Blizzard,
not the bots,
not just Blizzard employees.
Robots.
Yeah,
not just Blizzard employees. Not
actual
got away from the corpos into the hands of the players.
So the question is, why would they remove it?
Why would they remove it? Yeah, this was removed. Why would they remove it?
Also, I believe you have all of the. I've showed you every card. I mean, you probably don't remember.
Hey, give me some credit. I'm a professional video maker.
I have most likely showed you every card that you need to actually put this together. The question is if you can.
I hate it when you say that.
Let's rush on you for no reason.
Well, the first card I thought of was the Auctioneer. Of
Sure.
Like you play spells and draw cards, right? And you play spells and draw cards, and you play spells and draw cards. Are also, I believe, other things that like in arena alchemy magic we call perpetually, that just reduce your cost of the cards in your hand or something like that, so that you're playing them very cheap. I don't know. It seems that's what's annoying. It seems fine. And I know it's not fine.
Okay.
I know it's not fine. I know it's not fine. But why? Okay. I should know this.
So this one's actually really interesting. I'm going to show you, before I even give you the example, I'm going to show you 2 cards here and see if you can put it together.
Knife Juggler. I know this one. After you summon a minion, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. Yeah. Okay. So cheap stuff, wipe board, things of that nature, or face. And Youthful Brewmaster is 2 mana for a 3/2 battlecry. Return a friendly minion from the battlefield to your hand. Self-bounce. Yeah, we got this problem in Magic right now too. Yep. So you play this at a reduced cost, returning something at a reduced cost. If you somehow have 2 of the Mana Spring Totem's effects, or if you have something that when it enters gives you back a mana crystal, you just go loopy loop, vroom, 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 return to hand, play it again, return from hand, play it again, wipe board, or kill opponent's face. Just go infinite with Juggler and they die.
And Classic is very unlikely to die from just a combo like that. You'd have to set it up over multiple turns. This could be done in 1. So the feedback was, we appreciate you taking all the time to point this rather lethal combo out to us. We want to make sure Hearthstone games are fun and engaging. So they decided to remove the card.
But it's like a 5-card combo.
What do you want me to say?
Wait, you say the feedback like they issued a statement, or just like, okay, we won't print it then. It's fine.
Well, I think it's because, okay, so imagine you are a brand new player to the game. This is hard.
Sure.
You got to remember. So let's even take a step back. Hearthstone is the first realistic big virtual card game that's going to exist. You want the average player who knows nothing about card games to have as much fun as possible. Do you think if someone queued up against this combo for the first time, they would have fun?
I think a Yu-Gi-Oh player sure would, but so it's like depends on how much it is. You need the O1 to survive a turn, because playing them on the same turn costs 7. So I guess you try to build it up in your hand and do it on 7. Yep. I don't know. Got 7 turns. You probably got them down to like 20 in classic Hearthstone.
But you gotta remember, right? Like meta decks weren't solved yet. People were still trying out the game, right? People don't understand what's good. It takes some time.
Okay.
So if you
they didn't want infinite combos.
It's funny how you're like, this isn't even that bad. Back in Magic, like this is a way worse shit that we had to deal with.
Yes, we Winter Orb and Armageddoned you, so you had to play a 3-hour game, not a 10-minute one. That was how we treated our new players. Or we played Black Lotus Channel Fireball on turn 1 and they were dead. That was in our original game as well.
Okay. Well, Hearthstone doesn't have that, thankfully. My God. Jesus
I can't believe it. 4 mana for
We're just soft
01.
over here in the tavern. My God.
Yes, you are the softest game. I can say that now definitively, having looked at others.
Come on.
Soft.
Okay.
Dude, Mana Spring Totem, it's an 01. Kill it. Grounding Totem. Okay, all totems probably just got banned for being way too good. That's got to be the case. All right. Shaman nerfed into the ground. 3 mana crystals for an 03 totem. Other minions can't be targeted by enemy spells or hero powers. Your other minions can't be targeted by enemy spells or hero powers. This got removed? What the... So Magic the Gathering had, and this is a pretty old mechanic, so I think it precedes all of Hearthstone. There were creature type called Flag Bearer, and it was like 2 mana for a 1/1. And if a spell was cast that could legally target Flag Bearer, it had to target Flag Bearer. So that was basically what they did, is they ate removal. You know, you put them down there, and then you put down something more threatening, and the removal spell has to hit the Flag Bearer. They were playable, but fine. And still to this day, it's like they see very spotty like commander play, but they're not staples by any measure. This is similar. It's also similar to like cards we have in Magic that grant you and your other stuff hexproof. I'm thinking of a legendary named Shalai. I'm thinking of Leyline of Sanctity. Like we have a lot of this effect. So what got this one removed? Let me 5-head this. Hold on. Your other minions can't be targeted by enemy spells or hero powers. I mean, again, I'm like, what's the problem?
Okay.
What's the problem? It's an 03.
Let's take let's take a step back here for a second, okay? What is the core difference between your game and Hearthstone?
It's that you can attack minions directly.
Okay, I was going to say something else, but that is
Damn
actually
it.
correct. I was going to say you can't interact on your opponent's turn, right?
Also that, and also passive mana. And anyway,
There's a lot. So at least from what I understand, and this is what I'm gonna assume here, elusive is a very strong keyword. It's one of the best keywords in Hearthstone because if you can't interact with your opponent on their turn, you have to make the game feel interactive. So elusive stops that from happening because if I can't target my opponent's creatures, it can make for a very poor experience, right? In a card like this in Classic can make like games extremely one-sided, especially because there's cards that buff your totems up. So if I have a board and you're planning to polymorph my big minion, I drop grounding totem on it and then it's buffed, you're kind of just locked out of the game unless you have like a board preemptively. So I guess the reason they got rid of it was because they wanted the game to feel more interactable. In Classic Hearthstone, I think there's only one card in the game that has elusive, which is a 2-mana 3/2 dragon. So I think that's the reason they got rid of it, is because of that reason.
Wow. I feel like there's so much of this effect, and it sounds like Hearthstone just played with it and was like, nope, we don't like this in our game.
So nowadays they print it more often because now there's more like insane stuff in the game's faster pace and whatever. But if you had like, a lot of the removal in Classic Hearthstone was like single target removal.
Like, I can't believe they didn't like did they try it as an 0/1 or something that just died to a strong breeze?
As far as I am aware, they did not.
Just looks like a card to me. This is crazy. Do you think this is more busted than like cards that have been nerfed and banned?
In Classic, I can see the experience being worse. I don't know about like necessarily broken. Like I think there's a Hearthstone, especially in the early days, had to be very careful with how they printed effects because again, like if you can't interact with your opponent and it's just like I play my turn, you play your turn, you have to make the game fun for both, or you try your hardest to make the game fun for both players.
Fade. Dude, this art though.
Pretty metal.
Yes. All right, 2 mana for give your minions taunt and draw a card. Give your minions taunt and draw a card. All right, the question I should be asking is, how did this make games unfun?
There.
I feel like taunt is available to every class. It seems like a core keyword in the game. Are there some classes that just don't taunt very well?
I'm trying to think for priest in Classic. So Classic priest would be, they don't have a ton of taunt mini. I actually don't even think they had one. I'm thinking about it right now. I can't think of a single one.
Okay. I'm gonna guess that is priest the one with divine shield? Has that been around that long?
That's paladin.
I'm betting on some kind of a combo that says something along the lines of when this is damaged by a minion, it doesn't take damage or it takes less damage. Some kind of immunity. You know,
I will tell you in Classic, as far as I am aware, unless it was a card from Alpha, there is nothing that would allow that.
Damn it. Okay. All right. Okay. Why else would they get? If they didn't want taunt to be part of one class's identity, a certain kind of card to have taunt, like maybe there's something that every time it gets dealt damage, you gain health or armor, or you get something created. But all of those things sound to me like a fun combo. Okay. Like, yeah, dude, I fade my ultra mega card who takes damage and gives me stuff. That just sounds fun. And then your opponent's like, I play the owl or I play removal and it's fine. Right. So I'm struggling with this. It seems like it seems like a fun way to build your own mech kind of thing. And
okay.
I like that says draw a card. That's great. Let's do more of that. What's wrong with this card?
So this one's weird because Ben Brode described this card specifically as just awful. And if your goal was putting power on the board, this is not going to do anything. So this card was either too weak or did not do enough for a class card for Priest in the game.
What? That's too awful?
That's the reason it was. That's what Ben Brode said in 2016, which was a 3 mana, destroy a minion with 5 or more attack.
Did that ever see play? Maybe like really limited.
That did see play.
A little bit of play. Yeah, I guess it's a removal spell.
So, actually, you know what's funny is I don't think I actually said this to you in the video with Yeti when I first showed it to you. One of the reasons why Yeti was so good is because Priest, one of the classes with like the most removal in the game, could not answer it because they had Shadow Word Pain, which was kill a minion with 3 or less attack, and then they had Shadow Word Death, which was 5 or more. So Yeti being at 4 was a fucking menace to this class. And
I love that.
Soloing.
Those are the best parts of weird metas is the cards that just like are outliers against the removal are sometimes hilarious. That's why I love the Yeti. God bless the Yeti.
God bless. The Yeti is the goat. Okay.
2 mana and it says your hero loses all armor and gains +1 attack this turn for each armor lost. That's awesome. So this all right, why is this unfun? Because you can sit there and like just build up armor all game, meaning the opponent feels like they're not getting anywhere, and then you play this and just dome them and they die. It's like a turtle play pattern. You're just a whittle turtle, you get in your turtle shell, and you don't come out until you bite their hand off. And that's it. That's why this was removed, because it turned the armor into like a way to dome the opponent somehow, like maybe a way to deal here. Double. Yeah, we're going with combo here. Boom.
Okay. Easy. Unfortunately, for this card specifically, it does not have an answer why it was removed. Here's the card it was replaced with though.
Shield Slam. 1 mana, deal 1 damage to a minion for each armor you have.
So if I had to guess, I actually think Death Wish is probably too weak in Classic for the same reason like the last card was removed. In Classic, Warrior did have a way to get armor, but I would say on average you're not getting more than like you would have to have a very specific combo for this. And maybe they thought
you guys are like pogging over Leroy Jenkins doming somebody for 10, but this doesn't work out. Death Wish ain't cool. So this is where it comes down to, right? Like, it's interesting. Does this fit the Warrior theme? Probably. Right? Was it fun to play against? I don't know, right? Armor Smith, Pyromancer, get a ton of armor, and then you smack your opponent for 15 for like just playing control. Was that a fun thing to do in Hearthstone? Yes, it sounds fun to me. I would love it. I would laugh every single turn as my opponent floundered around like a fish dying on a beach, trying to figure out how to deal damage to me, and then just getting smacked with my armor. It doesn't even occur to me, to be honest, that it could have been removed for being bad.
You're going with everything's broken?
Yes, because that's what I think of why a card gets removed from a game. But like in Magic, I don't see all the designs that they just didn't print because it didn't do anything useful and nobody would ever play this. We don't have any window of that at all.
Yeah, because I'm sure like you only see the final product, right? Mm-hmm. And
that's right.
This is why this is so interesting, because you get to see what they were actually designing at this time. And it kind of makes you appreciate, because I actually think the Classic set for Hearthstone was extremely well designed for what it was. Like they balanced the whole game around. Like obviously Druid was Druid, so like there's that problem. But for the most part, like they did a good job of balancing every class in the Classic set to like build around each other.
Charged Stormhide. It's 5 mana for a 4/5 beast, and it says after a friendly minion is attacked, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion. After a friendly minion is attacked, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion. Okay.
Okay, what do you think's wrong with this one?
Like, it seems fine. Dude, it's 5 mana for a 4/5. It's supposed to have some kind of an effect that's like good. And then a friendly minion being attacked and then getting 2 damage on a random enemy seems like it's hard to. I mean, it's definitely not nothing, and it's definitely better than 1 damage. It's like twice as good as 1 damage.
Holy
so like
shit.
How much of a problem is that? Like,
no.
So a friendly minion is attacked. So you attack your board, some piece on the board, this or something else. Damage resolves. And if the opponent's thing survived, it might or should. Something over there takes another 2. I imagine that is a very frustrating experience for sequencing your attacks against this. I imagine that's annoying, but I'm having another get good moment where it's like, deal with it. I don't know. Like shouldn't a 5 mana 4/5 in a game in 2021 be like, it should have an effect. It should definitely have something that doesn't just die to the first thing that wants to come over and bonk it on the nose. It feels like it's on the line of a card that could be released. Okay, say the name of the set again that it was going to be in.
Forged in the Barrens.
Forged in the Barrens. Dinosaurs didn't live in the Barrens. That's why they saved it for the dino set.
I'm gonna save you.
It's a flavor fail.
No, I'm gonna save. The Barrens is like, actually I know this because I was playing World of Warcraft Classic. Barrens actually has like a lot of like dinosaur type of stuff. It's not like a flavor thing at all.
Okay, we'll try again. The Barons didn't know how to harness the power of electricity. There were no conductors in the desert. There were no thunderclouds.
I'll just tell you, you actually hit it on pretty early on. This was removed due to the fact that it felt bad attacking minions with this card on board. And if Hearthstone's core design of the game is using minion combat, I can understand why they would feel it this way. But interesting, like you said, I actually don't think this is that much of a problem. Because if it said whenever a friendly minion is attacked, that means a lot. That's a lot different, because that means while the minion is being attacked, there's a chance the 2 damage hits it and then the minion dies. But after means the minion does get to swing and then the 2 damage is dealt. So I don't know why this would be that bad. I guess if you're like really far ahead and the only way your opponent can actually play the game is using minions, they could just get further behind. They have no way to catch back up, which I guess could be an issue. But I'm kind of in agreement with you. I don't think this is that bad, especially because they printed this card.
Wait, what? Far Watch Post, 2 mana, 2/3, can't attack. After your opponent draws a card, it costs 1 more. What? After your opponent draws a card, it costs 1 more. The card that's drawn?
The card is drawn. Yeah.
That's annoying as hell.
Yeah. And they also printed this one.
Morshan Watch Post is 3 mana for 3. There's a whole curve of this shit? Okay.
Yep.
After your opponent plays a minion, summon a 2. Bro. What? What are we doing here? Oh my God. What's the 4 mana one do? Does it kick them in the balls and steal their girl? I figured it out though. I figured out Charge Stormhide. This is just like the commander ban list. You know what this is? This is somebody playing this in the development on the team at Blizzard, just low rolled with this thing like every day for 3 days in a row and just rage deleted it from the file. That's Jadefire Satyr, which is 5 mana for a 5/5 stealth demon. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. What'd you say? So stealth, I think I remember stealth. There's like the shade from Classic, right? Is 3 mana for a thing
Curse
that grows.
Yeah, from Curse. That was the first mini set, but yeah, stealth. 3 mana, 2/2, gets +1/+1 at the start of every turn.
There are probably some things that are like, it's a demon. That's a really popular class. I guess there are probably things that require a demon to be in play, and this meant that you always have one, or maybe some kind of a payoff. Or maybe it really just is that they want interaction to matter, right? So
okay,
they need to be able to kill this.
Let me just like absolutely blow your mind here.
Hold on. Isn't there like something in Hunter that's like 5 mana for a stealth card?
See, funny you say that. The card that replaced this is this one.
Yes. The Stranglethorn Tiger is 5 mana for a 5/5 stealthy beast. Okay. I think either I'm right about the demon, or there was some like, we don't want one of these cards that is going to be across every class being a demon, but it's okay if it's a mean kitty. Maybe it's just like maybe it's just about the public image of the game.
So
I don't know.
This one is really weird because, again, there's not really like a actual set reason for this. Going through the classic cards themselves, I was looking to see what would interact with the demon, and honestly, there's nothing that's that egregious. It's surprising that they thought this would be too good. Now, there is a card called Sense Demons for Warlock that says 3 mana, draw 2 demons from your deck, which is like a tutor. I mean, 3 mana, draw 2 is good. But again, it's like Warlock was already doing better stuff than this. So maybe they just felt like it was more thematic for a tiger to be stealth in Hearthstone and be a beast than a demon. Maybe they were already designing like the future sets and they just didn't want any demon cards to interact with this, because when GVG comes out, there are cards that interact with this that could give it buffs. Maybe they didn't want that available for Warlock. It's just, I don't know.
Somebody's much more of a cat person. I think that's the core of this one. Adrenaline Rush. Nice. 1 mana to draw a card. Combo, draw 2 cards. Okay. Combo is draw 2 cards instead. So cast anything and for 1 mana, draw 2. That's my read on what combo does. Like, it's just, you play multiple cards. Yeah, that is such a base, like, it's a combo. You play this and the other thing and something good happens. It's a combo.
Yep. Yeah. Why do you think it was removed?
Why was it removed? I mean, I think it would just go in every single low curve deck till the end of its time. Like, it's just really generic. It doesn't really, what does it incentivize? Cheap cards? That's what card games incentivize.
So I will remind you that this is for rogues specifically.
For rogues specifically, is there any other thing I'm worried about? So does the combo mechanic have its own like support crew of like, whenever you pull off a combo, you get this bonus? Is that type of thing?
In Classic, the only card that I think would be similar to that is Edwin Van Cleave.
Okay.
Because Edwin Van Cleave says combo, gain +2/+2 for each other card you play this turn.
Yep, remember that one now. Honestly, looking at the card draw in Hearthstone, this just looks below rate. Like, in Magic in Magic this would be pretty busted. Like this would be pretty amazing.
Excuse me, hold on. Did you say below rate?
No, I mean, I don't mean below. I mean, it costs less than other card draw. I should say above rate.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I should use
it's
proper terminology.
Cheaper than other draw. Okay.
Yeah, it seems really cheap for draw. Like in Magic, this effect is like 1 mana to draw 2, but you have to sacrifice a creature. Like that's this is basically like there's no downside to this. It would just be in everything. Jesus, and if there's like payoffs just for casting spells, it's just in everything. In that class,
so
I think it's just too powerful. Honestly, it looks too powerful. Again,
this is one of the things that they did not give an actual reason for it, but I actually think I agree with everything you just said. Right? Like if this was in the game and this was in alpha, so I think people did get to actually play with this. This is a broken card, and it would be played throughout Hearthstone's history. Like if they would have to do something about it, it'd be too good. And it's not even just the fact that like it's 1 mana, it fits into a variety of different rogue decks. Like 1 mana to draw 2 cards in Hearthstone is still not seen till this day.
And Venom is 3 mana, double your weapon's attack this turn. What class is this?
That's rogue.
That's rogue?
That is rogue.
And the hero power equips a weapon, yes?
The hero power does equip a weapon.
But what weapon is it? I'm trying to remember.
You get a 1/2 dagger.
A 1/2 dagger. So that's not really what you're doing.
But
oh wait, they had some big stabby thing. What was it? Oh my god.
Big stabby thing.
They had a really I remember they had a weapon like that, dude. Every rogue match I watched of like the first Hearthstone championship was like, well, if they get this card, it was like some sword.
So I'm gonna take you back to a different video that we did. There's a card from the grand tournament that you saw a while ago called Poison Blade. Right? Why don't you read that text for me real fast?
Oh, thank you so much for providing it. Not that I forgot, but all right. 2 mana for the 1/3. Oh yeah, your hero power gives this +1 attack instead of replacing it. Yeah.
So if you remember from that video, I told you that the old hero power for rogue was this effect. Can you piece together what would happen with Envenom? If your opponent doesn't have ooze, what you would do is you would sit there and hit your hero power every single turn to the point where you got to 15 damage or whatever their life points are. You could use deadly poisons. There's a way to buff your weapon's damage. You would cast Envenom and then you would cast it again. You'd even need to go to 15 if you had 2, and you would one-shot your opponent just from hitting the hero part in every single turn.
Nice.
So they got rid of that because of that effect. And honestly, if you ask people who played during alpha, that was a very common thing you would see, because you basically didn't lose the game if your opponent had no way to stop you from attacking, and you could just keep hitting. And rogue during its classic set has cards like Sap and Vanish, which just bounce minions back to your opponent's hand, so they lost so much tempo, and you just kept removing their board over and over again just to get to this combination.
So, you know, I'm known for my ability to evaluate weapons, and you're telling me that like rogue players back in the day were just building a Death Star.
You know what? That's a great way of putting it. Yes, they would go and build their Death Star. So that comes out of the conversation of, do you want this in the game? Because that's not necessarily that powerful if you're teching for it, but it's not a great way of playing the game. This card was replaced with this one.
Blade Fury. Oh, I remember this. Yep. This eventually got removed, maybe?
It got nerfed.
Nerfed. It was like 5, right?
They nerfed it to 4, and they nerfed it so it doesn't hit your opponent's face anymore.
Yeah, destroy your weapon and deal this damage to all enemies. They wow.
Absolutely murdered the card.
Can you picture the classic Hearthstone casters at the World Championship trying to just hype up, oh, activating the hero power. The Poison Blade goes to 4. He's only got, let me do the math. If he draws 2, he's got like 3 more turns next turn. Oh, there's that hero power. That Poison Blade's at 5. You know,
it would be so miserable, man.
Shoutcasting Poison Blade matches would be so much fun. Demoralizing Roar is 1 mana, and it says enemy minions get -3 attack this turn. Why was this removed? Demoralizing Roar. All right. So your opponent has a cute board, and for 1 mana, you get to make it all pretty bad and smash into it and kill it if you want to. And your stuff lives.
Yeah.
I imagine the number of things that this could neutralize was like pretty high. I don't know. So you want to build a board to match their board, then play this and then destroy their board. Was that enough of a blowout to get this removed for power? Or was this just kind of is this one of those bad ones I've got to watch for? Was this bad? Oh, I hate that.
This one's
it is because I can't evaluate it like I would a Magic card at all. It's very different from like how it would work in Magic.
In Magic, would you say this card's good? Would you use this in Magic?
It really, so in Magic, the closest thing is like a Fog or a card that I think of as like Mass Hysteria that provides a temporary reduction of attack till end of turn. But you would play it on your opponent's turn when they attack you, right? To blow them out in combat. Not an option in Hearthstone. And on the other hand, some kind of a, like playing it at what would be sorcery speed on your turn, like reducing their power wouldn't do a lot of good because you can't attack the creatures directly in Magic. That's why it's a hard one for me. How about the name itself? Can we talk about that? Like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If it made the opponent so sad, it's like they knew, right? They were in on the joke. It's like, why did they make a game to make me sad? See, I'm now trying to evaluate this from the perspective of the softest player base in the history of card games. And now it's like, you can't even tell them it's a demoralizing roar without making them sad.
I guess, I mean, I'll just take the L here. I got no defense.
Okay. Thank you. Love that for me. And so, like, you might tell me this card is bad, and I wouldn't even be like too surprised. I have a feeling that this is just, it's like you each build out a board. You think you're playing a good, honest game of trying to have stuff on the field. Then you play this, and then all your board gets smashed, go away. I don't think that that's that good.
All right, so unfortunately for this one doesn't have an answer, but I actually kind of agree with you. I think the effect here is maybe too much for a classic player. Because again, most Hearthstone players are going to a card game brand new. They've never played a single one. Interestingly enough, though, because you brought it up, it actually just was replicated again in Mean Streets and Gadsden like 3 years later, almost 3 years later, for Priest. So at this point, maybe it was a flavor thing, right? Maybe they didn't want Druid to have this. Maybe in Classic, this would be too good for Druid, and they said no. The card they replaced it with, though, is Naturalized. I'd be curious to see what people say in the comments about this one, like why this one was removed.
What? Destroy a minion, your opponent draws 2 cards?
Do you think that, I think I've showed you this card before. Do you think it's good?
It's not good on turn 1.
That is very true.
I mean, this is one of those, like, you're doing your thing, and the opponent puts out a taunt and hopes to live, and you drop this and kill them. Like, this seems pretty good for Druid. Like, so I was going to say one thing I have to try to remember is that Druid is so green to me. And in Magic, green doesn't have like target creature dies removal. So this would be a very powerful effect in Magic in green because we just don't have access to this ability in many other ways.
Yes.
The fact that it's 1 mana is kind of amazing. I think you could have it for like 3 mana and somebody might play it. Because it's just about finishing the job.
One of Druid's like core issues throughout Hearthstone's like history is removal. It's not great at removal. And it's funny because Naturalized wasn't really played in early Hearthstone because people did not want to give their opponent 2 cards. So this card wasn't played for a very long time. Eventually, though, it was. And I believe I showed you this card when we did like, is this card banned? And like, did they remove it from like the classic set for it not to be in standard? Because they did rotate it at some point.
10 mana for a 10/10 Bethek the Panther? Big bad kitty. A 10 mana 10/10 beast. Battle cry. If you've cast 10 spells, deal 10 damage to all enemies. Is the 0 left relevant to anything?
0 left is like, just give like a tracker. So you wouldn't have to remember how many spells you cast.
Oh, okay. If you've cast 10 spells, enters deal 10 damage to all. All
enemies. So all minions in face.
That seems like a pretty good, like, drag the game into 10 mana territory and just destroy the world. Like what? Not much survives that. And it's to the face?
And it's to the face.
So if you have a way to cheat this, cost reduce this, use this text box some other way, just anything like that, it's just game over. This is an insanely powerful card that's only like bottle capped by the 10 mana cost. So as soon as you're cheating it, this card is kind of insane. I guess like you want your 10 mana cards to be powerful, but I think that there's almost a line to where they'd rather have like something that it did something at random, right? So that at least there's some excitement left in the game. It's not just I play this and now you're obliterated. Like they want Yogg, right? They want some crazy thing to happen. They don't just want slam, dead, GG. So I don't know. That's my theory on this one.
So this
that
one
they want more fun in the end game.
This one was released during Rostacon's Rumble. I don't know if I've shown you that set before, but it is considered one of the weakest sets in Hearthstone's history. It was supposed to be released, I should say. This is why they got rid of it. You ready for this?
Bring it.
This card was conceptualized at the time when the Shaman team was doing the Loa for Rostacon's Rumble for Shaman. Okay, so each class got like a legendary beast as their like main legendary. However, Team 5 ultimately decided to shift the Shaman to a different card called Kregwa the Frog, which I'll show you in a second if you don't remember, as they felt like they already had a lot of big cats in the set.
How did I not predict this?
No, I'm kidding. There's a second one that says the effect was designed was too extreme. They didn't want to have it.
Oh, okay. Jesus, dude. I was like, are you seriously doing a video with me to tell me that the design team was just tired of big cats? How did this happen?
There's Kregwa.
Also, strictly a lie. They're never tired of big cats. That's insane. All right, let me read this frog. 6 mana for a 4/6. The battle cry is return all spells you played last turn to your hand. I mean, it's exciting, right?
I like that guy a lot, actually. He was very fun.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this card?
No, obviously not. I'm not prepared for anything.
Okay, here you go. This is okay.
Devouring Ooze. 3 mana for a 1/1 with battle cry. Gain +1/+1 for each game you've lost in a row. What the hell is this? They were gonna put this in the game. Okay, does this track like with this deck or Hearthstone in general?
That's a great question. I couldn't answer that question for you. You can assume both.
Okay, yeah, because there's 2 ways to look at this, right? Way number 1, you just have it. You just sub it in after you've lost like 4 games in a row and the rate becomes undeniably amazing, right?
Yep.
Which requires you, and this is like the first problem. This is the first like ding, 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 guys, is this a good idea with a card? Because how much do you want your players looking at their win-loss record really and trying to have fun?
Okay.
I'm telling you, a lot of us do it not because we're really smart and stuff. It's because we're masochists. We're harming ourselves to actually pay attention to these things. Life is better if you just are having fun without worrying too much about it, right? The people who can do that, God bless them. I'm not one of them. But man, do they have a good life. They wouldn't know whether or not to play this. And then when they do, it puts it right in their face too. It's like, oh, I didn't know I sucked that much, but damn, this is a nice ooze. Okay. I don't know if this is a Hearthstone problem. This did peek its head out in the early days of Arena until they did some things to fix it, because Arena used like a win-loss like record for matchmaking, like, right? Like, is it MMO? Yeah, something like that.
Oh, MMR?
MMR, that's it. Yeah. It's still there, but what some people did, and they, there were some videos and Reddit posts. All right, this is all very under the table stuff. We're getting to shady territory. You're not supposed to know any of this, okay? And all you listening, you can't tell anyone. So people designed like a bot that would queue them up, like they would get to the floor of a rank, and a bot would queue them up into a match and insta concede, and they would just run this all day, and then
so their MMR would be horrible.
So their MMR would be horrible, and then they were on the floor of their rank anyway, and then they would start like playing for real and just smash everybody with terrible MMR. So
yeah,
this plus that equals 3 mana 100.
So I believe why this card was removed is kind of the same idea, but here's the thing. This card doesn't specify what you're losing in. What I mean by that is there's ranked, but there's also casual. So
it doesn't
you
even
could
say
just...
Hearthstone. I could be losing at Balatro all day, and then this has to count that, right? It has to tap into my Steam, it has to tap into my internet history, it has to tap into my browser history. I need to be able to report to the ooze on how I did at my local game store on Friday Night Magic, dude. It knows. It's on your smartphone. It knows all this stuff, Rarran. That's why they didn't put it out. They didn't want everybody to know how much data they had.
As far as I'm aware, the reason they got rid of it, and I'm sure it's actually a lot of what you just said, like it's a constant reminder how much you've lost, whatever. People could go into the casual format, concede like 100 games, whatever, and then all of a sudden you have a 3 mana 100 on board in your rank game. And like technically you could kind of like game the system like that, right? Because A 3 mana, like 100 would just win you the game, obviously, unless your opponent had spot removal for it. And then even if you lost, I guess you get 101, and then like that's not great game design. So they obviously got rid of it. There's no question to even be had why they would not put this in the game anymore. Funny ass card though, for sure. And I think it's like they were trying to test out a lot of like the virtual things they could do with a card game, because like this is the first one. Like there's so many things they could try out to see if it would work or not work. But of course, keep getting a card that auto tracks your losses and then gets you a very strong win condition, because like you're just conceding games, is just not great. Anyways, this remove cards from Heart. What's up? Is it okay? I love this so
I'm
glad there's a lot.
Let me put it like this. I figured it out. Even for those of you who don't want to program bots, this is finally like this is the ultimate dad move, right? You give your little kid the iPad, you give them your Hearthstone account, you give them a deck full of Devouring Ooze at the floor of whatever rank you're at, and they are just farming points for your Devouring Ooze. And after your 5-year-old's lost like 30 games in a row and they've been distracted, you can be like, all right, give me that. Now I'm gonna go smash.